Oh, good.
Hi, I'm Gila Nehemia, sacred erotic self-love poet, mentor, and mystic. I am you're tuned into Collaboration Ascension Healing, and I'm so excited to share some wisdom with Mark Randall, who does lots of different things. I will go into his bio in just a second. Just bear with me as I pull this up. It's so exciting to interview Mark because he interviewed me, and I love to pay it forward, and he's just really interesting. So I'm really just excited about this. I'll say a few words about Mark. Mark is an accredited mental health social worker in Australia, and he guides people to empower their changes. Our change generally comes about when we find our beliefs, mindsets, and attitudes are causing us some grief and pain, or someone else. The process of change is not easy, and we need support and encouragement along the way. Totally agree. Learning to reframe our beliefs and value systems takes time and practice. Our guidance and caring support help you to rewire neural pathways and reset yourself. We also encourage people to deepen and open up their hearts when we listen and action what our deepest essence is guiding us to do. This is empowered change. It facilitates deeper connections within ourselves and to our loved ones. This facilitates better energy flow, empowered self-worth, which enriches our well-being at all realms of our psyche, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, and soul levels. So thank you, Mark, for being here. I'm so into empowered change, and I'd like to just ask you before we get into your work is how did you get here? It's a really important question, and many people may be in the spot you were in. So I'd love to make that connection point.
Yeah, how I got here was when I was about 23, 24, a lady friend said to me I needed help. She said I won't use the words that she expressed. So yeah, I went off to a lady, and I couldn't. She was seeing auras, and I was just not ready back in those days to see auras. And so then I went to two other ladies called Meg and Lon. I still remember their names. And they were transpersonal therapists. And I stayed with them for a long time. And that's what started the ball rolling. And I haven't looked back, been at it ever since. I'm a slow learner.
I think we all are. I'd like to talk about that for a moment. I love the fact that you mentioned that we need other people to help us to grow. Number one, because I'm totally a proponent of that. I believe in interdependence, and I think we're I've been doing this challenge recently about trauma being stored in our bodies. Yes. So can you speak a little bit about that from your own experience and the people you work with?
Yeah. In my training, social work is just a degree at university with a little bit of psychology and counseling in it, but it's through transpersonal emotionalist counseling that I did a lot of body work. And body, trauma is stored in our bodies, and we have a lot of holding patterns, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, just in our bodies. We will have particular holding patterns. And emotions, from a neuroscience perspective, emotions are neurochemicals, and they live in the body. They're not in the brain, they're in the body. And so, working with body work, learning to find where our holding patterns are. You might have it in the jaw, in the chest, in the shoulders, in the neck. And it's just working with it, breathing into it, and intuitively asking. We've got that intellectual brain that I think it's very black and white, right, wrong. It's a powerful part of the brain, but it's not always right. And it doesn't like the emotional brain, so to speak. And listening intuitively to whatever comes up. And it might be a bit out of left field, but that doesn't matter. It's really important to trust to bring stuff to surface. Carl Jung always talked of the subconscious is tumultuously trying to become conscious.
Mm-hmm.
And if we look at the subconscious material, from my perspective, the subconscious material is a part of me. It might be me in utero, past life. Our DNA's got to come from somewhere. The trauma that we experience, that's a part of us, and it's still in our psyches, and it always will be. And so instead of cutting it off, which we tend to do, because it causes so much pain, how do we learn to be with it in a healing way? It's not easy. It's hard work.
Yes. I'd like to. I like to talk about that a bit, and definitely working into the heart space. It's actually today's. That's the day of my challenge. Today is a heart space. So, and that's what we discussed when you were interviewing me, and your world of heart connection. So because it's so painful, how did you move into that? If you could, you don't have to share intimate details, but anything that could help people who are listening.
Look, I was really fortunate through the transpersonal therapist, then I did about 2 or 3 years with them, and then I met another guy who's from the Osho movement in Fremantle in Western Australia. Introduced me to breath work, holotrophic breath work. I moved then from Western Australia back to Victoria and got involved with the transpersonal emotionalist counselling, and that's a collection of 4 or 5 modalities: holotrophic breath work, symbols and sound play therapy, voice dialogue. And we had to be the patient. You can't not do. We have to do our own work before. University was good. It was, it gave me the nuts and bolts. But to be quite honest, the best teaching has been to have been the client. We're all clients, don't get me wrong. And I've just been really fortunate to have wonderful teachers and wonderful therapists that have helped guide me down the rabbit holes of, childhood abandonment. I had 2 major traumas in childhood. I was adopted at birth, and the mother that adopted me, she got sick at 7 and died by the time I was 8. So, there were major traumas. And growing up with my father, he was a product of the 1930s going through. He could put food and he put a roof over the head and did his best, but because I was a sensitive, delicate little Vegemite, I took everything to heart, and he was quite critical. I was never good enough. So I think there's a lot of that story just got deeply entrenched in the subconscious. And I guess I reacted with a lot of anger from that, probably. Shame and anger, and have spent years trying to heal the trauma that fuels the reaction of shame and anger, basically. And it's the best thing I've ever done. I'm so blessed to have just kind of had every goddamn rabbit hole there is to go down.
I love that. I agree. I was actually for me as well, I felt like at points in my life, I just felt completely naked. And I'm not talking about taking my clothes off. I'm talking about completely surrendering whatever story it was. Yeah, stripping myself. Exactly. That's the right word.
Yep. Get all of it. Just don't hold it back. Just go in. And I think having that ability to something changes. It's as Stan Groff calls he calls it the mystery of healing. At that deep level, something shifts. I don't know what it is yet, but it is a healing, and it's a beautiful healing.
Yes. I wanted to talk a little bit about your empowered change. I love what you do and your work with people. And we're going to show them a little bit of the model in a few minutes. But if you could just talk about it a little bit more so they can get an idea.
Yeah, look, I think empowered change, our power is, we can have power. I think the patriarchy has had, males and toxic masculinity and patriarchy. It's had power over, and it's still very present in the world. Unfortunately, it is. But the more we go within, and what I mean by that is to go within to our hearts and get out of our intellect, go deeper than that, go beyond our intellect to our hearts and to our souls, or whatever you want to call it. There's just a beautiful liberty there. It's a peace and a freedom, and it's a beautiful power. I don't need to have power over anybody. I can just share power. It's and one of the things in the model that I put down the bottom is it's like an empowered unconditional love, and it's just, it is love. And in that love, there's all forms of love. If I was to rewrite Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs, I would have love down on the bottom rung as well as the top rung. But it's basic food, shelter, water, and I think one of the essential ingredients in all of us human beings is the need for love.
Yes.
Period.
Agree.
Yeah.
I'll share the model so you could talk about it a bit. I don't know how I can.
It's a bit complicated if you just.
Yeah. Maybe here full screen layout. Okay. So if you want to discuss it, everyone can be seeing it now. The top half of the head is what I call the theory bank, and it's made up of the three brain developments: the reptilian brain, mammalian brain, which is the limbic system. That's the emotional brain. Then we've got the newest part of our brain called the neurocortex. That's the newest. The prefrontal cortex is really important because that's the brain's brain. But I think we've become over rationalized, over logicalified in this world, probably because of all the trauma that we've carried in the heart there on the left-hand side of the heart where there's love and light. The attachment theory, which is the John Bowlby attachment theory. We all need attachment and connection, and we all want to feel good. But on the other side of life is the fears, anxieties, our emotional wounds, traumas. And I think I jokingly say, I wanted to be enlightened by the time I was 30 and get rid of all that black stuff in that heart. But I was finding it wasn't working, and then I put the infinity sign around that we're always going to be traversing that infinity model at the top of the heart. That's our vulnerability. That's our vulnerable self. And deep down is what I call the soul mindfulness of being. That's that. Mindfulness is the psychologists have John Kabat-Zinn brought mindfulness to the West. It's secularized it.
But to become mindful, the scaffolding around mindfulness is a deliberate practice of meditation, which is a discipline. It's a daily discipline or a daily routine. And meditation is the scaffolding around through which we become mindful. And the soul, being a good Catholic boy, that's where the soul probably comes from, but it just deepens the presence of mindfulness. Because if we just stay with the mind, I think it takes us back up into the intellect too much. And it's how do we get away from the intellect? Yes, it's right that things are not just right, wrong. There's so many different degrees, and if we've got black, white, right, wrong, there's we go into that prove, disprove game with each other. He said, she said. Well, when we're having disagreements or disconnections, there's hurt inside the heart. It's how do we connect to what the hurt really is? Is it contextual in today's hurt, or does it go back to my childhood? Or because invariably it does go back. It'll have a core from somewhere else in life, and it's about noticing it. And when the emotional charge has been healed, the pain's been witnessed and been validated by therapists. A good therapist is like a guide to us. They psychically guide us into the pain and don't think about it. Just feel into it and just let the body do the work. The concept in transpersonal emotional release counseling is that we have an inner healer within us.
Mm-hmm.
And
yes.
the inner healer knows what to do.
I love that.
Yeah, and it's just in the
I'll
early
say
30s, every time I was having a rebirth, it's like, oh, when is this going to stop? I've had enough of being rebirthed. It's but it has changed. As my facilitator would say, Mark, the inner healer's taking you there, so just go for the ride. And
I love the inner healer. For me, I talk about our own wisdom. We have our own healing powers if we listen. And I feel like I agree with you. I think meditation is a super important part of any growth. Personally, and I feel like everyone has also personal preferences. Like I need to move. I need to physically move my body, and everyone I feel also has a power in them, like for me, it's writing and it's the amalgamation of all of them. But I really wanted to also emphasize that therapists, coaches, mentors, whatever's feeling personally, what happened to me, I went through therapists and it didn't quite work for me. It was still very mental. And I couldn't move out of the mental. They weren't helping me to move out of the mental. And when I finally was beginning to work with coaches who are much more personal and were able to actually share more intimate details with me about their own lives, it helped me to connect. So I want to just open the playing field to expand into whatever's really calling your heart. And I feel that you believe this as well. Like whatever's calling your heart, move towards that.
Yeah. Oh, look, to me, the heart is the key. The heart knows. It might sound weird, but it's all in the brain as well. But the emotional brain is the limbic system. If we can get the heart right, and the heart's a metaphor for the limbic system. They do say that the heart has its own. It's got its own brain at some level, and the Heart Math Institute is doing a lot more research, and we'll get a lot more. Give it another 20 years, and we'll see a lot more power that the heart's got. And I think you're right about a lot of therapies, a lot of psychologies do stay up in the head. And and that's why I've liked the journey that I've been fortunate to go on, is that, I got the basics of this, psychology and counseling at university, but being the client was the best teaching. I could never wish for any other teaching to have been the client, and I've had the lived experience, because if it wasn't for the lived experience, I can have a deep empathy for a lot of the mental illnesses that, the depressions, the anxieties, the borderline personality disorders, and we've all got reactive traits, and I believe that our emotions are the antecedents to a lot of our mental health. If we can get the emotions regulated, life's much better.
Yes, so true. And I agree. I think, I feel like even just today, to be quite honest, I was it today or yesterday? Oh, yes, it was today. Okay, so I turned off my Wi-Fi at night because I didn't want any of the frequencies. I just made this decision inside the house. I want it off. And in the morning, it was blinking, and it wasn't staying in like a constant. So I was like, oh my God, I have this interview with Mark. I need to make sure that I have him up. So I felt it in my body. I felt this tension, constriction, like this, fear. And I was like, you know what? Relax. It's going to be okay. They're going to open at 8, it's going to be fine. Like, just relax. And it worked itself out. Everything's fine. But I just wanted to share that because I think that we always have, little triggers, we're going to feel it in the body. Yeah. And as soon as we become conscious, this has been an important thing, that I've learned with Eckhart Tolle. And it's like conscious, present. To be conscious and present of what is.
Yeah, just notice it.
Yeah, just notice it. Be with it.
Yeah, and because we're all going to have reactions. We can't not react. But it's just learning to be with those reactions rather than reacting out of them.
Right. Because I could have, and sometimes I would go into a spin, like, oh my God, but I didn't. I just.
And we're humans. And we're humans, and we're going to go in for a spin. Let's not judge it.
Of course, No, I'm not judging. I'm just saying that for me, it was a win. It was a win because it did, it could just be a little episode, but that little episode could change your day. Yeah. And, when you just know how to move through it. And that's been helped, also a number of years. This is, for me, that was huge.
Yeah, I love calling that just becoming centered in our being, just connecting, aligning physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. When we're aligned, we're in flow, and life will flow.
Right.
It doesn't matter what life serves up. We can, and some days we're not going to flow. We'll flow better some days than we will other days, and that's okay. It is what it is.
Right. And I also think like meditation, sometimes we think of meditation and sometimes I do this too. Sometimes I think of meditation. Okay, I have to be quiet. I have to like sit and just be silent. But actually our life can be a meditation. Like Osho talks about that dynamic meditation. You're moving or you're meditating. Because you're focused and you're present. Everything we do can be meditation.
Driving the car, half the time how did I get here, so to speak? Well, where were we? We're in the zen of driving.
I love that.
Probably need to be a bit more alert than that.
So, Mark, tell us a little bit more about your offering and your free gift.
More than happy if a person wants to have a session with me. It won't be able to be, unfortunately, this year because I'm booked out till it was only a couple of days to go, really. But early next year, I'm more than happy to do a Zoom session. It doesn't have to be therapy. It can be energy work. If they want to do a chakra session, whatever a person wants, I'm more than happy to just connect on if it's from overseas, happy to connect via the I've got Zoom accounts, so we can use Zoom.
And how would they connect with you, Mark, if they're interested?
Yeah, they can connect through worldheartedconnection.com.
Okay.
Or through the podcast. Yeah, the worldheartedconnection.com. I think there's a contact on that. I'm not sure. But yeah, look, I'm more than happy to. I'm not hard to get. I'm not hard to find. Seriously, they can just email me, and I'm
fantastic. Yeah, there is a contact on that page. I just checked, so that's perfect.
Yeah.
If anyone who's listening on the call would like to ask any questions, we do have a few minutes, so please do. As you know, Mark is just totally easy to talk to. So we would love to answer anything that you might have that you're going through.
Yeah, it's, I've been really fortunate that I think the years, I always say to people, therapy, a life coach, something, it's really important for all of us to have a guide with us, someone to walk along with their wisdom. Rather than be just so independent and we'll do it my way. I'm so fortunate to have been able to have others to have gone to and gone blah, and then they, hang on a minute, that's a reaction, just breathe, what's going on deep down. But just to have that guidance is really important. It doesn't mean to say we're dependent. It's super, super important and there's so much pressure that everybody's, I sort of call it the mortgage, the corporate mortgage anxiety that we all live in.
Mm-hmm.
Our brains are not designed to live like this.
Right.
Just, it's simply not. And that's why we're seeing far more mental health with us. We're having a lot more depression, a lot more anxiety because we're just not designed for this type of fast-paced corporate world.
Yeah, I would have liked to get into more about this awakening we're all experiencing. This. We can just maybe talk about it in the last 5 minutes. But I love the fact that you said that. I just posted here. Important to have a guide with us, someone to walk along with us with their wisdom, because like Stephen Covey says, we're interdependent.
Yes,
like you mentioned, we were kind of brought up to be independent.
Yep, we were. I believe the more we open our hearts to the guidance of others and share their experiences, because deep down we're all very similar. We're all interconnected deep down. We've all got unique stories, but archetypally we're all very similar. And I think the more we open and have a little bit of humility, I think we are all awakening. The more we come into our hearts and open our hearts, we all want the same. Well, generalizing, but I think we all want to be loved. We all want to be connected. We want Mother Earth to survive. We want the all sentient beings just to flourish in love and harmony, and that is the awakening. And I do deeply feel it's coming along at a really exponential growth, and not before time, because I think if we don't do it now, I hate to be pessimistic, we might need to put our heads between our legs and kiss our, goodbye if we don't hurry up and awaken.
Cosmic forces too. Tomorrow is the solstice, I guess summer solstice for you guys, winter solstice for us. So very important time, and I'm very excited. I just been feeling excited, just like I'm just feeling this tingling, like something's changing, and we're connecting.
Yeah.
You should listen to our podcast too, because we talk about the Mother Earth, and
Yeah.
I'll put a link to that in the details
Yeah.
so you people can. But
Oh,
Mark also does podcasts with a variety of people,
yeah.
and he's a great interviewer. And in World Heart Connection, those of you who are in this group watching, definitely listen to his podcast. And anyone who isn't, I'll put a link into the group
And,
so you
and
can join.
I'm always I'm open to having guests on the show because I want to listen to how each and every person in their intimate wisdom connect with themselves, and how do they heal themselves from their disconnection, because them each of us sharing our stories will be a little gem of wisdom for someone else to and it doesn't have to be an expert. It's just we're all on a journey
Yes.
without we're all on a journey, and how do we help each other along on that journey? And
Yeah.
that's the whole purpose of the connection, is to come on, let's go, let's all please come into your heart and just before we get kicked off this Mother Earth, come on,
Right.
let's do it.
We all have the present moment. I agree. I'm also, if anyone's
Yeah.
listening, I'm also open to anyone coming on this
Yeah.
show. And
Great.
my mission is to have everyone's stories to be told. I help people with their heart space as well, and really focusing on healing and allowing that to unfold as a mentor and a coach. And that wisdom that you discussed, that wisdom that we share, and then that, my clients and each of us have, I feel that that's also a power that we have to share. So I work with people on that.
And in the connection, when we're having that energetic exchange of connection, there is a deep, innate, intuitive wisdom in that connection. It's amazing.
Yes, it
We
is.
just can't, we can't put words to it. It doesn't need words. It's just a presence of being. And what a
Right.
gift. What a gift that humankind and other sentient beings have to be able to do that. What a gift.
Really,
We're so lucky.
we are. When I realized
Yeah.
that word frequency, like we're all energy frequency. Like I was like, oh my God, yeah, that totally makes sense. Like, I could not even have this form, but we could still connect. And it just is amazing. I have clients that talk to their flowers, and like, it's just, they have a wisdom there. They have a connection to the flowers, and
that's right.
I just feel it. It's amazing.
Yeah, no, it is. Let's go there. Let's keep bringing more of it. And to me, that's the awakening. The essence of the awakening. That's it. And the harmony and the love and the healing energy that comes from everybody's hearts will heal.
Yes, we will.
Yeah, I can feel it right now as we're talking. It's just lovely to be in this space with you, just having this conversation. We're doing it right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, beautiful.
If anybody wants to share anything before we end, please do. We're here to answer any questions, or if you have any questions on the replay, or you'd like to take it offline, we're both available. We understand sometimes these things could be very sensitive, and we respect your privacy. So I want to just share that, and that goes without saying. And everything's confidential.
Yeah,
So if anyone would like to connect with Mark, please go to worldheartconnection.com and click on the contact, or send him an email, connect with him on Facebook. He's totally available. If you'd like to connect with me, go to my website, or you can click on scheduling a chat with me. I have free chats right on my website. So you could schedule some time to talk and just get started. I actually am having a special gift for you. Anyone who is interested or likes to know more, I have a 4-week writing course that is, normally priced at $888. Now it's $555. And I just from December until December 31st. So I just want to say thank you, Mark, for being here. Thank you, everyone, for listening on the replay. We are really here to assist you and to walk the sacred journey with you. I think that's really, really important that I wanted to share. Would you have any closing words, Mark?
No, just come into your heart. Just keep connecting to your heart, and I just want to say thank you to the connection I have with you. It's just lovely to how the connections, all the interconnections build connections, and the more of us that we connect, it just keeps growing, and let's keep spreading the message. And it's our turn to now help guide others in their awakening, and I thank those that have guided me into slap me, probably not just guide me, but that to give me lots of slapping to get a slow learner, but
like Muji says, he has something. He says someone recorded this. He's like, "Wake up, wake up."
I just jokingly say we're getting old, but finally the pennies dropped.
Rumi also said something like, "It's time to wake up from your sleep," or something like that. He said, "It's not time to sleep anymore."
Look, lovely to have lovely to be on your show, and thank you. And let's do it again. It'd be lovely to keep.
Yeah, I'd love to get into some more detail. So let's do another one next year. I'd love to do that.
Okay. Be gentle.
So thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Mark.
All right.
Have
cheers
a beautiful day.
Good night.
Good night.